Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Jimmy Mathis Show. Are you ready for some football? Yeah, evidently not a whole lot of people are. Heard an ad on the radio the other day. Ravens have single tickets available for their home opener. NFL kicked off yesterday. Eagles versus the Falcons. Got into a little bit of a fight with the wife and needed to kill some time, so I decided to watch about 5 minutes of the NFL kickoff. Boring. And evidently I'm not the only one. Ratings got crushed last night in a bad way. 13.4 in metered markets. The post-midnight ending game, it's down 8% from last year's kickoff. The Ravens, that used to be an impossible ticket to get, available on the open market. Ladies and gentlemen, I've talked about this extensively. I was an investor in the Baltimore Ravens, had 15 PSLs, and the chickens are coming home to roost, as they say. So I hope they build some very nice escalators over at M&T Bank Stadium to make up for it. Listen, this is going to be interesting. And I'll tell you something. For the PSL owners that hung in there, that are trying to do right by the team, that believe that their investment is going to bounce back, I honestly hope it does. For you, honestly, I really do. I hope it does. But here's the reality of it. See, there's two different markets when it comes to Raven tickets. There's the market of the PSL, the personal seat license, and then there is the value of the ticket. Both are depleted. It'll be very interesting. Now, Kelly, I'm not sure. Did they take – I didn't see the beginning of the game last night in Philadelphia. It got pushed back because of weather, I believe. Did they take a knee? Did NBC turn the cameras off? I don't know. I didn't watch it. Honestly, I was just trying to kill a couple of minutes. I kind of stumbled across it, just kind of rolling through the channels. I don't think they took a knee. In the category of maybe a little bit too little, too late. And the NFL still hasn't figured it out. Did they run the goofy Kaepernick spot? Did they run that? I don't know. I guess I'm missing something. I don't understand it. I don't understand why Nike would do that. I guess they're going after the younger demo to buy their $200 shoes. And I'll tell you, if there's a company out there, you've put yourself on the chopping block, all right? If there's a company that's down with the struggle, along with Colin Kaepernick, I guess Nike should be the company. Where do they still make Nikes? It's over in Vietnam, right? Suppressed wages and childhood labor. Wasn't Nike accused of all that not too long ago? Are they the ones that are down with the struggle? They want to be the mascot for inequality? All right, let's go ahead and play along. Nike wanted to be part of it. Nike wanted to jump in. Let's go. Let's roll. Kaepernick, the only way to make a living right now is to be the mascot for inequality. Guy that cannot perform his day job, which is to be a quarterback, which he can't, which is why the 49ers wanted to fire him. And now Nike's going to go ahead and subsidize him. Let's go ahead and let's play along. I watched a little bit of the game last night. Forget the whole kneeling thing and the protest and the anger. Forget all that for a second. Forget Nike running their goofy commercial and the delayed, boring game. Forget all that. It's a bad product. It's just bad. It's not interesting. Nobody cares. I didn't even know that the Eagles were in the Super Bowl until they made a big issue out of it during the broadcast. I don't even know who the Eagles played in the Super Bowl last year. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. So I hope I don't even know who the Ravens are. Kelly, who are the Ravens playing Sunday? I know they're playing Thursday. I know they have a division game Thursday. I do know that. I have been indoctrinated to know that. They have a division game on Thursday. Hope that works out for them. Honestly, I don't know who they're playing on Sunday. I don't know. If I have an extra 75 cents laying around, maybe I'll go to the game. I don't know. Depends what else is going on. It is truly amazing how you can have a cash cow. You can have a unicorn. You can get paid a king's ransom to play a child's game and screw it up. It's amazing. And then have 2 years to rectify it, and you still can't figure it out. Anyway, go Ravens, whoever you're playing. I guess you're playing a 1 o'clock game on Sunday, I think. Good day for Donald Trump. Despite the books, despite the anonymous op-eds, good day for Donald Trump. Numbers coming out, unemployment at 3.9%. Average hourly wages up. People making more money, that up 2.9%. August job numbers. It's all looking good. Donald Trump. Do a little analogy here for you, Ravens. Spiking the football yesterday on the campaign trail.
From the Rocky Mountains to the Great Plains, the people of Montana love our country so much. They honor our values, and you always respect our great American flag. You see what's happening.
Donald Trump is hammering back right now, ladies and gentlemen. And a lot of Americans like that. They like a fighter. They like somebody with a little bit of grit. We haven't had that in the past. See, this is what, for some reason, the left is not fully comprehending, is America is looking for a fighter, not in a disrespectful way, somebody that puts America first. And let me tell you something, it is working. And again, this is coming from somebody, I am not an always Trumper. I'm not. Look at the jobs number. Look at hourly wages. Look at manufacturing. Everything that Donald Trump ran on is landing right now. But what is the media focused on? What's the fake news focused on? Who was the coward that wrote the anonymous op-ed piece in the New York Times yesterday? First of all, who cares? It's like the NFL. Who cares? There's really nothing earth-shattering in the op-ed. It's a regurgitation of everything that is being shoved down our throats day in, day out, day in, day out. Who cares? We dove into this yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe it's somebody within the intelligence community, somebody within the military. Who cares? It's a senior White House official. Do you understand how much ambiguity there is in that title? It could be anybody. And I'll tell you something, I respect Donald Trump for going on the campaign trail yesterday and getting back to work. Because I got to tell you something, as somebody that has managed people in the past, it had to be very difficult for Donald Trump, and he is just like everybody else. He had to wake up this morning and go to work. His job may be a little bit different, but he had to wake up and go to work. And the office that he walked into, he had to feel like everybody's against him because he didn't know who wrote the piece. And he feels like his staff, his administration has gone rogue. But you know what he did yesterday? He got back to work, and he's trucking forward. I respect him for that. Now, again, like we talked about yesterday, the acts that this coward that wrote the op-ed in the New York Times, is this technically treason? No. But you know what? That's the term that Donald Trump is using because it resonates, and one thing Donald Trump has figured out is how to communicate with the American people. It's definitely not good for the country. It's definitely not healthy. Not at all. Not at all. And I think most reasonable Americans understand that. So what did Donald Trump do yesterday? He got back on the campaign trail, hit it hard. And, you know, he made a remark. He did an interview with Fox News after his stump speech event last night. And he said, you know, the attack on me, meaning Donald Trump, the attack on the president, it's also an attack on half of the electorate. And the opposition hasn't figured this out yet, and they should, because they've already tested this strategy when Hillary Clinton came out and called half of the electorate a basket of deplorables. How did that work out? Not too well. Not too well. So the attack that is being levied against Donald Trump, whether you like his style or not, it's not just an attack against Trump. It's an attack against roughly half of the American electorate. And Donald Trump, at the end of the day, is doing what America has asked from its leadership. He is rolling back regulation. He's gotten rid of the individual mandate. He is giving the ability for the American economy to prosper. That is what the American people have been asking for a long, long time. And now you finally have a president that is delivering on that. Donald Trump yesterday, getting back to basics.
We have the best economy in history. The stock market is at record highs. Unemployment is at historic lows. And more Americans are working today than ever before.
The other question, ladies and gentlemen, that has come up is the op-ed, and Donald Trump has floated this out there, the op-ed in the New York Times yesterday. Is this a national security issue? And that is being dismissed by many in the press as just, this is the old rhetoric of Donald Trump. It's being dismissed. Well, let me ask you a question, because there's a lot that we don't know. We don't even know the guy's name. So let's go ahead and let's play along for a second. I'm assuming, because the New York Times is such a reputable media organization, that this is a legitimate player, right? I mean, I'm assuming it's not the janitor in the Oval Office. I'm assuming that the senior White House official is a real player within the administration. If not, then I would assume that the New York Times would not run this red meat op-ed that they printed on Thursday. So based on that, is this, stay with me for a second, is this a national security threat? Now, what did we learn in that op-ed yesterday? Other than people within the Trump administration was seriously considering invoking the 25th Amendment, which is lunacy, but put that aside for a second. There were people within the administration, possibly at the cabinet level, that were taking documents off of the president's desk. There were orders when it comes to foreign policy that were not being executed. Now, I understand technically why this does not rise to the level of treason, technically. But you tell me for a second, it doesn't come damn close. We don't know what the orders were, and we don't know what was on those documents. Isn't that the question we should be asking right now? We don't know what the president was asking. We don't know what the orders were. We don't know what information was being held from him. Story yesterday is truly unreal to me, ladies and gentlemen. It really, really, really is. How much the media is missing this. Mark Levin in the past has used the term a soft coup. And the coup that he was talking about, the soft coup, was from the left. My God, how much more of an example do you need of a soft coup than your own administration that is making it next to impossible for the President of the United States to conduct business when you're not listening to the orders of the Commander-in-Chief? When you were removing documents off the guy's desk. That is where the outrage should be right now with the free press. And it's not, because they are so consumed on just getting this guy. That's all they want at the end of the day. They want to get Donald Trump. That's all they care about. There are mechanisms in place to get Donald Trump. It will happen 2 years roughly from today. 2 years and 2 months. When America will go back to the polls, and America will have a point of self-recognition, and they will ask themselves, do we want this president to serve another 4 years? As Barack Obama said, if you don't like the way things are going, participate in elections. If America is not happy with the direction of the country, they can flip the House. They can flip the Senate. They can put a new executive in 2 years. If they do not like the direction that Donald Trump has taken this country, if they decide to put a Democratic-controlled House in Congress in 2 months, then they can impeach him. Not for legal reasons. Or Mueller, at some point, can turn his hand over and find out what exactly has come out of this special investigation, if he ever wants to do that. But that's not what's happening right now. This absolutely is a coup, not with the Democrats within the own party of the Trump administration. And the leaks that have come out of this White House over the last 2 years is absurd. I cannot think of any president that has dealt with this level of leaks with a coup going on within his own White House. That is what is happening right now. And then the media is complicit in it. And obviously, the opposition doesn't want the guy in power. I don't put too much emphasis on that. The opposition always wants to be in power. That's why they're the opposition. Got it. It's not rocket science, ladies and gentlemen. And usually there's a pendulum that goes back and forth. For the most part, it's pretty much to the Matterhorn. For the most part, president gets 2 terms. For the most part. Also, when they control the House and the Senate in the midterms, usually the president gets an extra term. The country is somewhat unhappy, and they revolt by flipping over either the House and or the Senate. Just look over the last 50 years. Normally, that's the way it goes. So the Democrats right now are prodding themselves on not running an election here in November on impeaching the president, even though that's exactly what they're doing. Maxine Waters, Elizabeth Warren, they're changing their rhetoric a little bit right now as they're coming down the home stretch for the general election, but they have been running on impeaching this guy. The party has been running for the last 2 years on impeaching this guy. The party absolutely, leading into the primary, had run an election on impeaching Donald Trump. And now they are using the free press to do their dirty work via this op-ed piece in the New York Times yesterday. And point of order on that one. If this is really such an earth-shattering story that the American people just had to know, then why not put it on page 1A above the fold and run it as a journalistic article and use whatever your source is that wrote the op-ed? Obviously, the New York Times knows who that is, to use that as a source. Get a second independent source and run it as a story. Why didn't they do that if this is so important? Because it's not that important. It's a regurgitation of what we have heard time and time and time again. And there is no there. And it has to really, really bother the media that you have the August jobs numbers coming out and they're adding 200,000+ workers back onto the doles. That hourly income is going up, and it's resonating especially well within the minority community. And the market continues on a bull run. And Donald Trump doesn't miss a beat yesterday, hits the campaign trail, and continues to hammer his message. Doesn't care. It's got to really frustrate him. And it ties into the lack of relevance that the media is having right now, especially the print media, which is probably the reason why the New York Times ran the op-ed yesterday. And the media does, the press does what it does best, which is it makes itself the story. Makes itself the story. So right now the press is trying to figure out who the author is of this op-ed in the New York Times yesterday. And it doesn't matter. Nobody, and maybe I'm wrong on this, Kelly, nobody at the end of the day really cares. It's a regurgitation of what we have heard over and over and over, which is Donald Trump is a very difficult manager to work for. I think we all understand that at this point. And really, it does 2 things, I think, that benefit Donald Trump. First of all, whoever it is, whether it is a senior White House official or it's a in name only senior White House official, but somebody further down the totem pole that wrote this piece, it comes across cowardly. Because if whoever wrote the op-ed yesterday in the New York Times did this because they believed that Donald Trump was a threat to national security, they were concerned with him having the nuclear codes. They couldn't keep their silence anymore. And they did this because they were a patriot. And they just couldn't sit on the sidelines any longer. If they really believed that, they would have signed their names to it. And even the far left media is acknowledging that. So it takes all credibility out of it. I was joking around yesterday. Did Jeff Sessions write this? Now, I don't think he did, but we don't know. That op-ed yesterday came across as an employee that had an axe to grind. That is the way the op-ed read. Now, again, if you were doing this for your country, you sign on the dotted line. And if you're truly a senior White House official, put some teeth into it. Gives it credibility. Gives it momentum. Puts other people within the administration on the record. Or if not on the record, at least it begs the question to be asked whether they agree with whoever XYZ that wrote the pieces. But none of that's happening right now. Not to mention, whoever wrote it is still working within the administration. So it's really, honestly, a big nothing burger. And then you double down with great economic news coming out today with the August jobs number. And Donald Trump is continuing to deliver on what he ran on. Unemployment continues to go down. People that are on government dependence continues to go down. Country, from an economic standpoint, is on the right track. And it's the old joke in politics. It's the economy, stupid. That's true. And Donald Trump may be an easy target as far as somebody to make fun of, but he absolutely has been on the right track. And now what's he going to do? The official NFL kickoff was yesterday. It was a joke. Again, ratings were down big time, over 8%. I absolutely guarantee you Donald Trump's going to go back to that well. Why wouldn't he? When you have a bunch of overpaid babies that are continuing to stoke the racial fire in this country. Nobody's taking them serious. And they have a bad product on top of it. That's the reality of it. And let me tell you something else real quick as I wrap up here with the NFL. Not all NFL teams are created equal. And the Ravens, over the last 2 decades, have been one of the best in the league when it comes to play on the field, community outreach, the in-game experience. And now they're not selling out. Just south of us, the Washington Redskins had to remove roughly 25,000 seats. So it would officially be a sellout. Because if you don't sell out your games, the way the TV contracts work, you can't broadcast the game on in your own home market. And the Washington Redskins, who, by the way, even as bad as they've been in all their problems with Dan Snyder, the following with the Washington Redskins is pretty solid. They weren't able to sell out to the point where they started pulling seats out of the stadium. And now the Ravens, because of their little stunt they pulled over in London, they're not selling out. And the chickens are coming home to roost. And a lot of people let their PSLs go. And the market is resetting. And they have a product, meaning the PSLs, that is worth nothing. Less than nothing. I couldn't give them away last year. Now the PSLs are being dumped back on the open market, which is further accelerating the decline of the other PSLs. The tickets are overpriced. And there's an overall damage that's done to the entire brand, specifically with the Baltimore Ravens. That is the truth. And it may be uncomfortable. And the players don't care because the average career of an NFL player is 3 to 5 years. Most NFL players are not making Joe Flacco money. They're making a couple $1 million, play for a few years. They don't care. They're selfish. They absolutely are selfish. The problem is the league is so tepid and so afraid of the players, they haven't been able to get control of the situation, which is the reason why the Ravens had the ability to pull that stunt over in London to begin with, which is why almost a year after that, the NFL still hasn't figured out how to handle the situation, and you got the networks are turning the cameras off during the anthem. So keep it going, guys. Keep it going. Keep making the same mistake. Because you're incredibly arrogant. And the NFL, and especially the Ravens, and I say especially the Ravens because, A, they're the ones that relit the fire on the anthem protest over in London, of all places, when you represent Baltimore, you idiots. I mean, honestly. But the Ravens are a little bit spoiled because in the past they have had a good product on the field, not last year. They have done well with community outreach, and this town has embraced them. They are the Cadillac of NFL teams. They really are. It's not the case right now. And the NFL has made the same mistake that NASCAR made, which is going to be back in Dover in a couple weeks. You priced out the average customer. And like I've said many times, I've never complained about the amount of money that these guys make. They are the product. To the victor goes the spoils. But no matter how well the game may be covered on television, if you don't have an emotional investment into the team, then you don't care and you're simply not watching it. And that's what you saw yesterday with the Eagles-Falcons. People just aren't tuning in. They just don't care. Keep in mind, significant. The game yesterday is significant. Eagles won the Super Bowl last year, right? It's a network televised game. It's the only game on TV. That's why they run it on Thursday. It doesn't get mixed in with the other games. It is the only show in town. People didn't show up. They can spin it however they want because of weather or slight delay. But the NFL made a point of putting the biggest game on the biggest stage, and the people didn't show. So you tell me what's going to happen Sunday when the Ravens take on the Buffalo Bills on what looks like it's going to be a rainy weekend. Now, I don't know. I mean, the tickets are going to be cheap enough. Maybe some people, I was going to say, buy tickets outside. You can't even do that anymore because they don't have paper tickets. How does scalping work? And I guess the Ravens think that they're cute about that. You want people in the seats. If for nothing else, the way it looks on television, perception is reality. Kind of. So, I don't know. I hope it works out for you guys. But I'll tell you what, you did a lot of people. I'm talking to the Baltimore Ravens right now. You did a lot of people in this town dirty. A lot of people that were with you for decades. A lot of fans that were emotionally invested into the team. A lot of fans that put their money up. And keep in mind, it wasn't all that long ago. It's about 20 years ago when the Ravens came to town, and originally it was difficult to sell those PSLs. And I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'm totally off point on this. Maybe everybody's going to show up Sunday out at M&T Bank Stadium and sit through the rain and watch some mediocre football between the injured Ravens and the Buffalo Bills. Maybe I'm wrong on this, and maybe they'll pay $150, and I know beers are now 50 cents cheaper or whatever it is, and sit out there and just have some lukewarm Coors Light and watch some mediocre football and spend $800 to do it. Maybe that's what everybody's going to do this weekend. I guess. I don't know, Kelly. I don't know. Maybe that's what they're going to do. I don't know. So anyway, hope it works out for you. It looks like it's going to be a rainy weekend, everybody, but have a great weekend. Hopefully, Baltimore County and Baltimore City can get some Freon or whatever in the air conditioners. We can get these kids back to school next week. Love watching Governor Hogan being all indignant about that. It's unreal. Been jealous. We need more money. Yeah, it's funny. You know, you got those. I'm wrapping up, Kelly. Give me a break, all right? I'm not going to get to talk for the next 48 hours, all right? Give me a break. You got those on the left. They're talking about free college for everybody, and we can't put some window units in Delaney High School. All right. Yeah. What, the state budget right now is $35 million, I think, and $35 billion, and you know, and we can't perform one of the most basic responsibilities of state government. I'll tell you, there's a little part of me, honestly, that's glad that coward Chris West got old Doug Raleigh to kick me out of the race. I would deal with this crap in Indianapolis. Everybody have a great weekend. I will see you Monday. Go Orioles! Bye!
America.